You can take any product, you can send it to an NABL accredited lab. Typical nutrition profile will cost you about 8 to 10,000 rupees. It does cost you that much. That's the cost of testing. But yes, you can get it tested. You can see whether your nutritional information matches.
In terms of your company or in business in general, food business of food, and how has it changed in the last 10 years? Especially because now there's e-commerce, there's a lot of companies which have gone into health supplements or talking about healthy food, healthy snacking, all of that.
Yeah.
So what are the things you've seen that has changed, and what are the top 2 things in your mind which has actually changed the industry or will change the industry?
So I think one thing that has definitely changed the industry is the what they call as food tech.
Okay.
We don't call it food tech because we are the true food tech. That is delivery tech or logistic tech, as you may call it.
Okay.
But I think that has changed the industry quite a bit. And we think that the Indian processing industry will never really be the way the American or the European industry is, because convenience was the key for the packaged food industry.
Okay.
Now, with the last mile delivery problem solved, fresh food can be delivered to your house.
Okay.
So I think that has been a dramatic change. So that's where you will see people prioritize fresh food over packaged food. So that is one thing. The other is, of course, the health and the wellness, that awareness that has sort of increased the number of products, number of SKUs getting into the market. So the way we see it evolve is we will see more wellness products.
Okay.
Overall, I think the food industry is evolving from being a very, very trade-oriented business to being more brand conscious. The newer generation that's getting into the food industry is interested in building a brand. They're not interested in just making money. They want to export finished products. We've seen some successes. We'll see more of those.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of startups as well.
Correct.
Which are now exporting, or rather, even a lot of Indian consumers are also warming up to the idea of buying nutrition in a sachet, right?
Correct.
Mixing it with water and consuming it.
Correct.
And that's also getting exported. So that's something which is good coming out of.
Yeah.
So talking about nutrition and supplements, right? Protein supplements is a big industry here in India. A lot of people now having warmed up to bodybuilding or other kind of supplements as well, right? So how's that industry evolved? And plus we also see a lot of issues in this industry. One is counterfeiting. A lot of people import the supplements and then probably rebrand it and sell it. So there are issues of toxicity in terms of what is found in some of these supplements. Then also we see counterfeiting happening, a lot of counterfeiting happening in this industry, right? So one, as a consumer, how do I safeguard myself? Secondly, what are your observations on this industry?
So I think it is almost mushroomed like a, Griha Udyog, if you may call it. The number of protein powder mix that people are making and selling without even understanding it.
True.
I think it is unfortunate, but there is a lot of people doing it. Do they? Yeah, I think so. From the consumer point of view, I think awareness is the only thing, right? Understanding. So there is counterfeiting. It could be multiple ways. So there is an X brand, and you get the a fake X brand, right?
True.
So it could be X Prime. That is one kind of counterfeiting, which is blatant, just changing the label, putting rubbish inside it, and selling it.
So putting starch inside, I think.
Exactly. So you could put anything in it. So that's the old school adulteration, as we call it, saying you had pepper, which you adulterated with papaya seeds. So that's what we used to do. So that's plain blunt adulteration now. You cannot prevent it. When anything that is expensive will find counterfeits. We know fashion world is full of that. You get Louis Vuitton bags and counterfeit Louis Vuitton bags, which are as good as Louis Vuitton. So that is unavoidable. The buyers have to make sure that they're buying from an authentic supply chain. So from a store that they can trust that it is an actual good product, right? It's not X Prime and it is X.
Correct.
That is one. Now, within the brands itself, again, it would be to look at what they sell. If they see anything untoward which looks off, then they should put in a complaint.
True.
There is an FSSAI Connect app through which you can raise a complaint against a product. So you can take the bill, the product, and raise an issue.
So as a consumer, I can.
As a consumer, you can raise a complaint with FSSAI saying this is a product. And sometimes media just creates that frenzy in which the government. So the government's intent is not to encourage wrong thing, but there are so many things they need to do. So sometimes things kind of go out of focus. So then when there is noise, it comes back into focus. They do a bunch of things. But net, I think if the consumers have their eyes on the product, that's the only way of enforcement, right? There are so many. If each one is looking out for fakeness, then we can find it. And we cannot outsource that to some third-party agency. Like we say, when you're driving on the road, you cannot rely on the traffic police only.
Yes.
Because the traffic police can only do so much.
True.
We all have to be on the lookout and do self-enforcement. Also do check and balance. If somebody is breaking the law, then kind of telling them that you shouldn't be breaking the law. It's a very similar case. So being aware, being alert, lodging a complaint if you see something wrong. If you want to go to the whole 9 yards, you can actually take it and send it for testing.
Achha.
You can take any product, you can send it to an NABL accredited lab. A typical nutrition profile will cost you about 8 to 10,000 rupees. It does cost you that much. That's the cost of testing. But yes, you can get it tested. You can see whether your nutritional information matches. Ingredient, you may still not be able to figure out, but your nutrition part will get verified.
Interesting. Okay. But then again, people, like you said, I mean, that initiative has to come from...
That initiative has to come from people. So the more people are looking out for problems, the easier it is to find the problem.
Now, I think even we've seen some brands also in cases where we work with some of the brands. One, they also want to empower the consumers to be able to understand what they're buying, because cases like, your ingredients, like simple things like a hing, which is a very common ingredient in most Indian households, right? Which gets counterfeited a lot. How do you ensure that a consumer can verify that they're buying a genuine product? Which is what we have seen some of these brands take up these initiatives as well.
Yes.
Let's also educate the consumer. So we, like you rightly said, consumers need to be made aware and educated, and they also need to take that initiative. We've also seen brands also taking that initiative, telling the consumer, hey, that I'm giving you this mechanism to be able to verify.
Absolutely. Yeah. As in, all the genuine brands would want the customer to be able to verify it.
True.
So I think it is in their benefit. It is in their benefit. Because finally, the genuine ones are the ones who will get the benefit out of it.
So revenues are, obviously going to be made.
Correct.
And then also brands don't lose on the image, because if I consume a fake product thinking it's a genuine one, and then obviously if the quality doesn't match what I anticipated to, then it affects the loyalty.
It affects the whole category. Right? So I got a fake protein powder which didn't have protein in it. And I had that and I said all protein powders are fake. Right? It doesn't work, right? So it harms them.
Makes sense.
So if there are genuine companies, they will want you to verify, and they do put in a lot of effort, like letting you verify the traceability we talked about, the QR technology you would talk about, and some of the technology that you build, which helps, which prevents counterfeiting, all of that. So I think, and some of this becomes affordable as soon as you're talking of an expensive product, right? Which is where most of the counterfeiting anyway happens. If it is a cheap product, Nobody wants to replicate a 2 rupee product, right? How much can you save by replicating a 2 rupee product? You have to have a certain value to be able to replicate it.